Hello and welcome back to another Explain 12 video. I've made quite a few changes since the last video I made. Notably, I have managed to reduce my yaw sensitivity, so I have a lot more control over how all that works. I've changed the livery on the aircraft. We're not just a flat boring yellow anymore. We've still got the PA18, however. What I've also done is hopefully increased some of the quality settings, so we should get a better output. We'll see how that goes afterwards. We are continuing our career through the XP Career plugin, and here what we're going to do is we are looking through the list of jobs. We need to get ourselves up to 5 hours of flight time. That will then allow me to unlock the high performance aircraft. For today, what we're going to be doing is a job that doesn't pay very well at all. We are going to be doing this skydive mission. It's a distance of 40 nautical miles. We're going to be taking one skydiver with us because, well, we've only got one passenger seat. So it doesn't pay very well, but this is more about building up those flight hours, getting some extra time behind the stick, and then being able to earn our next license. So I will go ahead and add that job to my list. It's 40 nautical miles, so we really don't need a lot of fuel at all. Let's just chuck in about an hour of fuel in there. That is estimated good for 135 nautical miles. So we'll perform that refueling. Let's get inside. We'll click the fly now, so that starts up our tablet. It actually says we're going to lose a little bit of money for this, having paying the charter costs and landing fees, that sort of stuff, but no matter. Let's fly this. So we need to load our passenger up again, so here we go. We're going to click load, and the skydiver is going to get themselves in. We need to climb up to 11,500 feet. That's going to be a little bit of a challenge in this, but we'll give it a go and see how far we get. My passenger has now boarded, so let's go ahead and fire up this PA18 and we shall get ourselves out to the runway. So, mixture full rich, crack the throttle. I'm going to have my mags to both. Carb heat and cabin heat is off. I very much learned from my mistake last time. Carb heat is super duper important. We're going to give a little bit of a prime into the engine. And that's good. And then we'll turn on our master and our beacon. Let everyone know that we're starting up. Not that there's many people around. Cool, engine is up and running and sounding healthy. Good, so let's get our avionics on and we'll chuck on some nav lights, because why not? We need to taxi to our runway and take off. Let's take a look at some weather here. So we'll grab the information about the current conditions. So we have wind 220 at 11, nice and easy. We're using runway 22, so straight down the runway, nice and easy, with a QNH here of 1010. So we're looking good there. Excellent. So we're taxi down to runway 22. If we look at our map here, we're going to be taking off, be a left turn out, taxi down the side of the runway, and then line up. So we're down at the end of runway 22. Let's add some power. We'll do a quick little run-up test here. There is 1800. There we go. So let's drop one of the mags at a time. We hear a drop, we see a drop, back up, and then the same with the left. Again, see the drop, hear the drop. Good. Fantastic. We are a little bit chilly on our oil temperature, so I'm going to sit here for a few more minutes and wait for that to climb. There we go, our temperature's just about reached where it needs to be. So, let's grab ourselves out onto the runway and get ourselves lined up. So there we are, runway 22. We're going to pause for a moment. Let us drop some flaps. I'm going to switch on our landing light, get rid of our taxi light. Set our transponder to be transponding, and everything else, I believe, is looking good. So we're going to go ahead. Let me grab my tablet back up again, so that we can see our information, but all it wants us to do is essentially just climb up to 11,500. So let's go for our takeoff. Let's release our parking brake. There it goes, and increase some power. Give some right pedal. Try and keep things down the centre line. Tail wheel is up. And there we go, away we are, up to 11,500. We'll just keep going out in a straight line for a moment, and then we'll probably just circle around the airfield, keep us nice and close, try and keep it visual. We've got pretty good sky conditions at this point, so I don't believe we should be running into any problems. Let's get our flaps away, build up a little bit of airspeed. There go the flaps. Looking good. We'll just keep this climb going. I want a little bit more airspeed, so let's just trim down ever so slightly, and then we'll perform a 180 when we've travelled out a little bit and continue that level climb. So we got a little bit of rain on the windshield there, so we're at 210 at the moment, so let's do a nice 180 down to 030, and we'll continue our climb through as best as I can. Passing 4,000 feet now, let's go ahead and do another 180. So we're again looking for our 210 around the other side. I'm going to do this one a little bit slower. Just as we're getting higher, we'll start to lose some climb performance. So we'll keep everything nice and smooth and try and keep that climb going as we go through our 180. Probably not the smartest idea to be skydiving in the rain. I imagine that would do some pretty bad things to the parachute. So in real life, this would not go ahead, as best as I know. However, this is a little bit of make-believe, so I'll continue my climb to 11,500. Here we are, just passing 7,500 now, and the weather outside is looking awful. Although, can't see any of that on the windscreen, so not really sure what's going on. But in any case, as we approach 8,000, our climb performance has dropped off as expected. I'm just trying to keep us around 70 knots or so. But we're going to hold that as we keep climbing. I'm going to do another 180 just to bring us again, keep us around the area of Oaksea Park. So here we are then, just above 11.5, and we've been told to go onto a heading of 218 into the wind. We need to be higher than 80 knots, which I am. So let's bring ourselves around on our left turn here, and we shall fly into the wind. There we go, so we are into the wind, the jumper is preparing to leave the aircraft. Okay, jumpers away, we'll continue to hold my altitude, speed, and my heading here. There we are, just coming into view off the right hand side of the aircraft there. We can see that is Kemble Airfield. So, looking good. We should be pretty much directly overhead Oaksea. So as we're descending here, to not fall foul of the same issue that I had last time, I'm going to come down here and turn on the carb heat. It's going to keep the carbs nice and warm, stop them from icing up and giving me the low performance issues that we had before. Learning. We have Oaksea just off our right hand side here. I'm just trying to keep it under the wing, do a nice circling descent down to probably a couple of thousand feet, and then we shall set up for a landing. So I actually descended down below our 2,000, we're at about 1,000 now, and we are pretty much set up on a downwind for runway 22. We're a little bit close, so I'm going to extend this downwind, get some distance away, and then continue our descent through our base, and then on to runway 22 down there. And it looks like just as we're getting ready to turn our base leg here, the weather has brightened up a huge amount, so that skydiver would have had a nice landing at the very least. Here we are then, set up for our final approach. I believe I left my landing light on. I did, yeah, so we're all still good there. Probably a bit high, a bit fast. Let's reduce my airspeed, get some flaps in. We are incredibly high on our approach here. We're going to completely miss the touchdown zone bonus for sure here. But we have a nice long runway. Let's start to bring up our attitude here into a flare. Try and not get too slow. Continue the pitch, and I floated it. That's not good. There we go. We are down. Not a beautiful landing, but better than what I've done before, that's for sure. Right, let's bring up my little tablet and find out where it wants me to park. So it wants me to park at grass parking 2, which I believe is over the other side of the airfield. So we're going to continue our taxi down runway 22 here. And there we go, we can see our parking spot has come into view. So let's turn off the runway. So the plug-in here has rated my touchdown 107 feet per minute there, so according to the plug-in it was a good landing. However, I'm not sure I would say so myself, to be honest. There we go, parked up. Let's set our parking brake. Go ahead, we don't need our carb heat now. Turn that off. We shall get our landing light and nav lights off, leave our beacon on for the time being, and get rid of our avionics, however. And let's shut down our engine. There we go, we are going to unload. I'm not quite sure what we're unloading, because as far as I'm aware, the passenger already unloaded themselves. But we'll click the button and wait for it to do its thing. Let's get our magnetos off while we do that, and we can go ahead and get that beacon off, and off comes the master. So after all that, we ended up losing $11 in this case, even with our $30 tip, just as the guy was jumping out of our plane. We got a nice rating, middling rating, it was okay. And then a little bit more reputation, but really importantly, we got another 0.7 hours into our flight log here. As soon as we get this up to 5 hours, we will be able to go ahead and do the check ride to be able to get ourselves into a nice high-performance aircraft. So with that completed, I want to once again thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.